being a leader comes with challenges. The Leading to Win podcast will help leaders make wise decisions by leading to win. Here's your host, Marty Haynes.
Welcome to Leading to Win, where our goal is to help you become a better leader. Today, we got a great guest with us today. We have Jonathan Dean, and Jonathan is with Parsons CPA. And today, our topic for business, I think you'll find it interesting for you today. A small business best practices, a proactive process pays. And, you know, being a small business owner, I definitely understand processes and how to be efficient in things. And Jonathan, it is great to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me, Marty. I appreciate it.
Yes, and I mentioned being a small business. Sometimes being a small business owner, you wear multiple hats. You try to. It's not necessarily you get up today and go, I want to wear all these hats. But sometimes you run into the idea of a business owner, and they think, well, maybe somebody else, if I do this, is at least going to get it done. Sometimes we don't think, well, if I do it, is it the best way to be done?
Right.
But the idea here is we need to understand, if we're going to do the best we can do in business, we have to understand we have to learn to either delegate or outsource things to do for business. So, like me being a small business owner, give me the ideas about why I should outsource things like my taxes and payroll and those sorts of things.
Yeah. I mean, with most of my small businesses, they're all entrepreneurs, and it's just kind of built in their DNA that they're better than everyone else at everything, and they're gonna drive to be as successful as possible.
Yep.
And a lot of times that's just going to end up burning you out. So
correct.
Especially in the accounting world, whether you're just starting out or you've been in the business, 5-10 years, small business owners, they look at some of them don't even look at financial statements. Right. So, you got to have that process to look at your profitability, whether you're looking at a profit and loss statement or you're looking outside and seeing how many trucks are on the road. So everyone kind of measures it differently, but point of the matter is, the business owner is the revenue driver. They shouldn't be in the back office worrying about payroll taxes or quarterly estimated tax payments and how to calculate those. So a lot of the times, we just straight up recommend to go get a payroll provider. Let them worry about the payroll tax filings. That's not something that you should burden yourself with. Another thing is accounting. A lot of the folks, they'll either try to do it themselves. Some people will outsource it, which is fine. I actually recommend that, you hire maybe even like a part-time or your office manager to, I'm not plugging any program, but the easiest one is QuickBooks, right? Yeah. So you're going to have, somebody in-house who's intimate with the numbers. Really, it's your accounts payable, accounts receivable, right? So you got to be watching the cash flows. And you really need somebody in-house to be doing that.
Yeah. Well, just interject one quick thing, and I know this because I've dealt with this. Sometimes you look at outsourcing and all these different things, and you go, money.
Yeah.
Can I afford those kinds of things? As a business owner, I get it. We have to be mindful of cash flow, and we have to be mindful of what's really most beneficial. But there are some things that's really worth paying the monthly fee or whatever it may be in order to take that off your plate, because you know what? Your business isn't making money if you're not out doing what you do best, and leave the others to do what they do best.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, it really comes down to having that, the systems, the processes in place. The firm I'm with now, owner's been around for 30 years, so he's had a long time to sit here and make those mistakes, get the processes set up, But once that process is set in stone, you kind of tweak it along the way. But really, that when we're looking at the accounting department and the accounting process, you really want to stick with a very strict, rigid schedule. So you want those books to be closed by, let's say, the 5th day of the following month, close in. So we want all those bank accounts reconciled, all the credit cards reconciled. And you should be in contact with the CPA about depreciation and things like that. So by the time you hit the 10th or 15th day of that month, you could sit down with your in-house accountant and go through the numbers, understand how your company's doing financially.
Yeah. That one thing you're talking about, systems and processes, it's a great thing to keep in mind. And I do this internally for my own sanity, and because I don't want to get, I don't IRS knocking on my door. Right. Sometimes people will go and spend money, they got cost of goods and all that good stuff they have to run. And then when it's time to pay those taxes, they had no process put in to take that money and set it aside every week, every month, or whatever it may be. And is that something right. that you kind of recommend in a process to make sure you got your money there to pay your taxes?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. And, estimated tax payments are required by the IRS. There's a few kind of technical things you want to look at, but, if your revenues are going down, you don't want to be sending money to the IRS because you need that cash in right. your bank account. But yeah, you want to reconcile, review, and then react to those financial statements. But yeah, I mean, your income taxes are the biggest expense on your P&L that doesn't get reported on there unless you're a C corporation. So, yeah. So with a lot of small businesses, they'll just say, hey, 5% of my revenues, I'm going to go stick it over here in the savings yeah. account. So a lot of times people will budget that way at yep. the very least. But
yep.
It's going to fluctuate up and down. But at least you won't, come tax time, have a big shock and don't know where to get the money.
And that's something I learned early on because, when money comes in, you go, okay, how do I know? Because I'm not the biggest numbers guy, but, I go, all right, I get this money. I know all these expenses are going to come out, and then I got to figure out my taxes. And so I figured out over time, what works best for me is you said right. 5%, I do 10%. Okay. I take yep. 10% out, I put it into an account, I let it sit there. And that way, I'm not surprised. I usually I put too much money aside. I'd rather have that than go, okay, I got to come up with this additional money. So that's right. a great way to do it. You said 5%. Yeah. And I'm probably 5% over when it's all yeah. said and done. But I've found that works great for me. And hopefully maybe somebody listening today will say, I never really thought about that. And I got that, and I've got the book sitting over here somewhere. It's called Profit First. I think I got some of that from that book I read, Profit First. And it goes about how to, take care of profit. It was
right, yeah.
I don't know about doing that ahead of time, but, it's things like this that really help small business. And that's why we like doing these to really help people come up with strategies that's going to be best for them and for their business. Because again, small business is the backbone of the country when it comes to business, and there's a lot on the plate when it comes to a small
right. Yeah.
business. So.
Yeah. But budgeting is a huge deal. I mean, budgeting for income taxes and really, honestly, just budgeting for your CPA expense. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at your annual expenses, over in the right column, just make sure you run 1% of your income and look and see how much is going to accounting services and your CPA and your tax prep. Mm-hmm. If it makes sense to, change CPAs or relationships or even hire one for the first time, budgeting for that expense is pretty important too, because it can get, it's all over the place. It kind of depends on what you need, but we bill for, anywhere from, $500 a month all the way up to, $20,000 a month. Yeah. But, it just depends on what you need. So.
What you need. Now I'm going to go out on a limb here, and when a small business or a business in general, any suggestion on at what point does someone hire a CFO?
A CFO?
Yes.
Yep.
And
That is a fantastic question. So we have one of our largest clients. They do 400 million revenue per year, and they don't have a CFO.
yeah.
I have another client who does around 50 million, and they have a CFO.
Okay.
So it really depends on kind of your need at the time. With the larger client, they don't necessarily have one right now because they really use us as a kind of outsourced CFO.
Okay.
So that's another thing you can outsource, but a lot of times, when you're looking at CFOs, you need somebody who's going to truly guide the company and the finances, somebody who has relationships with bankers. And we even have, relationships with fractional CFOs who will just come in and kind of see if you need it. So I think that's a good place for companies to start, is with these fractional CFOs. Because they'll come in, they'll give you reports, everything you need. They'll point you in the right direction. And if you like that kind of service, you're not married to it. You just send them right back where they came from. Right. So I think that's probably where I would start.
Yeah. Okay. That's some good advice. Talking about, hiring people and people, one thing that we have seen, and I'm sure you have seen this, in the environment that we're in, trying to hire people. I mean, it doesn't matter where you're going. There are signs out that say hiring now. I mean, it's everywhere. You got McDonald's putting on signs out here. We're giving sign-on bonus. We're getting everything. Are you seeing a lot of, I'm sure to some extent you are, increase in payroll and having, payroll taxes, because, businesses are going to make a decision. I'm competing against, really what they're competing is, the people don't want to work, they're staying home, they're getting their check, they're getting what they want. But the ones that really are job searching really have the upper hand right now. And how is that impacting your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's a daily conversation. And we even have some clients that want us to do the recruiting for them in the accounting department now. But yeah, they're doing incentives to just show up for interviews. $100 or Chick-fil-A gift card just if you show up for the interview. So they can't even get these folks to show up. Yeah. And then if they do get a good one, they're offering sign-on bonuses is starting to become pretty common. Yeah. So I'm seeing a lot of that. But in general, I mean, inflation is kind of a hot topic. But when you're setting that salary, you got to be competitive, not only with the salary, but with the fringe benefits. A lot of younger workers today are really concerned with their work-life balance. So you got to have the money's important, the benefits are important, but then everything else is important too. So. Yeah,
and that's something we're running into. I mean, I'm working on 3 clients right now that prior to this didn't think having benefits was important. They're calling now and say, look, I can't compete against these other companies that are offering benefits now. And I, you can't get people coming in. I have got to provide some type of benefit. And then we're also having current clients that's providing benefits saying, Marty, how can we enrich these? How can we make these better? And then in all those cases, Jonathan, that is increasing the cost of business. So, that's definitely something that businesses have to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's plenty of jobs out there, but that benefits package is pretty important.
Yep, it is. All righty. Now somebody talking about CPAs and you guys, it's really important for somebody to pick a CPA that's in their industry, that knows the industry. Because there's a lot of different industries, a lot of specialties, a lot of different things. Is that's what you see? And if that is kind of what is y'all specialty?
Actually, I'm gonna push back on you there.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna push back. Yeah. So we specialize in small business.
There you go.
I would say if you're looking for a doctor, there's specialty doctors out there. But when you're looking at a CPA, you want them to be an expert in small business if you're a small business owner. And I say that because, you get a manufacturing business. They have some quirks. There's some R&D credits there. You got a retail business, right? Yeah, okay. But really, they're all funneling down to the same forms. So when it comes to tax planning, it becomes pretty simple.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, because we're all filing the same forms. I think having that system in place where the CPAs are reviewing your books, let's say on a quarterly basis throughout the year, rather than one time a year. You don't necessarily want a CPA, you want a tax advisor. And there's a big difference there. I just had a potential client come in the other day, and they have a CPA up by the lake, and just simply they put numbers on the forms, say, here's your product, see you later, here's a $500 invoice, pay it on the way out. And they missed all types of deductions. They didn't ask the right questions. So when you're shopping around for CPAs, just make sure you got one that really fits your personality. If you don't want to be bothered and you don't want emails weekly or daily or texts, some people will search for the old school CPAs that do all paper and things like that. And some like the technology, so they don't want any paper, all PDFs, all up in the cloud. So you got to really find one that kind of matches your personality and your style.
That makes sense. So all these people that say find your niche, your niche really is just small business.
Right. Now, there are exceptions to that. If you have an international business, you really need to find a CPA with expertise in international issues, because there's just a lot out there.
Yeah.
But when it comes to in general, I would say just find one it's proactive, that's going to be on your the speed dial throughout the year. You definitely want to keep up with them.
Okay. Well, Jonathan, as we wrap this up, there's a couple of things that I really want to sum up here. And, somebody said, well, why do I need a CPA? One of them is really to help me minimize my tax liability, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah, a lot of times I will have clients, and you don't know what you don't know. So a lot of times when you walk into my office and you're owner occupied, I get to recommend a cost segregation, because that's going to reduce some taxes. So if you're bouncing ideas off your CPA, they're going to come up with some ideas to save you taxes. And it's in some cases it's going to be a lot more than you pay them your tax savings.
Oh yeah. And another thing that it would drive me bananas, changing tax laws. I mean, things change, you got to stay ahead of those things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially now, things are changing. It seems like daily here, getting calls all the time. When I think the latest tax change was back in 2017, 2018, that was big. And then you throw, the current climate, you got your PPP loans, and you really need a resource to go to. I mean, even, when that was going out, even bankers didn't know what was going on. Clients didn't know how to do it. So you really need that person that's going to focus and specialize on that.
Yeah. Another thing is most people are not numbers people.
Yeah. Some people despise numbers, but I dream in numbers, so it's like
that's right. Another thing, which is what I like, is it helps me save time. I don't have to worry about it. I can do as a business owner what I do to make my business grow, and it's just something great to have somebody on your side that understands business, small business, and what to do. So it definitely saves time. And then on top of all that, sometimes the IRS comes knocking, and it's always good to have somebody there to help represent you, that know you and know what's been going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's probably the number one fear is that, am I going to get audited?
Yeah.
And, it's really shouldn't be a fear. I mean, everything that you put in your tax return is, can be substantiated, and that's the big thing. But yeah, when they do knock and they're starting to again, I think the latest round of budgeting up in Washington, they're going to throw, $100 million at the IRS and just tell them to go hire a bunch of agents. So yeah, you definitely want that representation. And when they do get the audit, I recommend not even talking to the agents at all, because these agents, they're specialized in asking questions. They know the questions to ask to get you in trouble, to be honest. So,
and I don't want to get in trouble. So
yeah, it's very, very expensive. Very expensive.
Well, good deal. Well, Jonathan, as we wrap this up, any final words of wisdom for our guest today?
Words of wisdom. Wow, that's wide open right there, Marty.
That it is.
Well, yeah, I would say, being a business owner is definitely a privilege, and we always treat our clients as more of a partnership. So we like to have those relationships, and I think that's probably the most important thing we focus on is really relationships, and helping out clients. So, so that's my last words of wisdom for the day.
Well, good deal. Well, Jonathan, really appreciate you taking the time today, and I know our business owners are going to find this information very beneficial to them, and again, appreciate you taking the time.
You got it. Yep. If anyone needs to bounce some ideas off, just let me know.
All right, we'll do that. And anybody needing Jonathan's services, call the number that's on the screen in front of you. He'll definitely look forward to talking to you when you give him a call. So again, we hope this was beneficial to you today, and thank you for joining us today, Leading to Win. Have a good day.